Hey, Karim here with New Human Consulting. Wanted to give some feedback and insights on this kind of hype that you find on YouTube where people leave Islam, and I wanted to just offer some feedback about that. So the first thing is, most people who have these videos up, they generally have legitimate or understandable reasons, at least from a psychological perspective. And I think that the broader Muslim community, especially those who kind of look at these individuals with a lot of cruelty, need to understand that most of the time their experiences aren't coming out of a vacuum, right? They have legit reasons. If you grew up in a Muslim family that appeared to be religious, they prayed 5 times a day, they wore Islamic garbs or whatever, but they emotionally, physically, verbally, psychologically abused you and you're traumatized, clearly you're going to make negative associations, right? So often the human being will take certain defense mechanisms which ensures their survival. And so it's pretty common, and this is true with anything. If somebody from a certain background or ethnicity, did something bad to you or frequently has done something bad to you, you may now associate that group of people with these actions, like being dishonest or cruel or whatever. So this is a very common, natural experience, and I don't think that it's just simple to say anyone who leaves Islam is basically just evil or whatever, right? The second thing is that often people who leave Islam, besides having these negative or traumatic experiences, sometimes it's also because they just didn't have healthy, positive contact or connection with the religion or the Muslim community. And again, that responsibility goes back to the community and those who identify with Islam. And so this is almost like a reminder that we can't be a test or a trial for those who leave the religion. Because that's something that people who have played a role in that will also be asked about. Sometimes people that claim that they left Islam, it's sure, sometimes they are misinformed, or they were pretty ignorant about the religious tradition, its depth and its richness to begin with. So they kind of left for superficial reasons or kind of simplistic reasons. They didn't really do further research or try to understand more about whatever it was that was bothering them. That happens too. But definitely you find more cases where there's actually legitimate negative experiences which has caused them to go in that direction. So something to keep in mind. The second thing is those Muslims out there who really come down hard on these people, and sometimes they act un-Islamically. And this is something that just fascinates me. It's like somebody makes fun of the Prophet Muhammad or Prophet Jesus, or makes fun of the religion, and then Muslims come around and actually do really cruel and disgusting things or say disgusting things. And I'm just thinking, how are you actually representing or defending your truth if you can't even act in a beautiful or truthful way? So that is actually a reflection that some Muslims out there, it's not about their love for Islam or their ghira or protectiveness. It's really about their own ego and their own identity, and they feel threatened by somebody saying, hey, everything you believe in isn't true, or it's ridiculous, or it's stupid, or it's disgusting. It's like, if you feel really threatened by that, then you need to ask yourself, are your own beliefs and values substantiated? Because if you really have sound knowledge and certainty, then you're not going to be too swayed or upset or disappointed. I think that everybody needs to take their journey seriously if they really want to identify with this. So something to keep in mind too, that just because somebody else doesn't believe what you believe doesn't mean that they're wrong or you're right. It really comes down to how you make meaning of it. The last thing I wanted to talk about with these videos is I find it pretty disgusting, and this is to anybody who's religious out there, no matter what faith you are. I think it's pretty ridiculous and pathetic when, all these religions out there kind of compete with each other. Who can close the most sales of conversion or something. It's like, oh, we've got all these people leaving Islam and going to Christianity. Look at these videos, like, we're the truth, right? Yeah, Christianity. Or, oh, look at all these people who leave Christianity and go to Islam. Like, yeah, Islam is the truth. And again, I'm not here to say what's true and what's not true. I'm just talking as a human scientist and sharing my feedback. And the reality is, you know, for Muslims, if you see a video that says that a Muslim saw Jesus in a dream and, you know, woke up and decided to become Christian, you know, that's very interesting, because Jesus is also a revered prophet and messenger in Islam. So it's like, well, what is that about? You know, are these stories being made up? I don't know. Secondly, just as much people who leave Islam, you have even more who come into Islam. And I know people who leave Christianity too and don't go to Islam or go anywhere. They just like don't affiliate with anything because they've also had negative or traumatic experiences. So I really think that we have to expand our horizons and scope when it comes to kind of looking at all these things, and not take such, you know, these kind of emotional, you know, well-marketed, branded videos or talk shows or whatever to kind of be like, oh, this must be right. And people, when they leave Islam specifically, they get all this media coverage and there's this big hype, and it's like, you know, there's great branding to appease an audience, and that's something also that, you know, we have to be aware of. So I mean, tomorrow I can say I left Islam and I'm going to write a book about it and probably become famous, you know. So that's just kind of a trend that's in there, and I think that, again, the onus is on the Muslims as far as how we represent our tradition, because Islam is not alive in and of itself. It is as alive as we embody it and live it out. So that's why you can have Muslims who are pretty horrid and pretty beautiful and healthy. So it all comes down to how we interpret, how we practice, and to what extent we have knowledge. So just some thoughts on this kind of whole hype out there, and I hope that that was beneficial. And forgive me if I offended anybody. That wasn't my intention, but I really wanted to offer that feedback as something to think about. Thanks for watching.